Hello, researchers. Today I'm going to walk you through how to use the Library of Congress to locate both primary and secondary sources for historical research. By the end of this tutorial, you'll know how to navigate and verify scholarly material and catalog entries. So, what is a primary source? A primary source is a first-hand account or record of an event that is created by an individual who was there at the time of the event that they are describing. So this will be photographs, diaries, like manuscripts from the time, government documents also included in this, newspapers, it depends. That's a little bit of a gray area, and oral histories are also included in that. Secondary sources would be interpretations of primary sources or historical events in a more modern context. So this would be books, journal articles discussing a historical period, or a documentary. So these aren't the actual resources from the time, they're interpretations. So, what is the Library of Congress? So, the Library of Congress is the National Library of the United States. It was established in 1800 for research needs of Congress. It's a network of specialized divisions that preserve the cultural and legislative records of the United States. It is not just for government documents, however. The Library of Congress's collection consists of a plethora of items such as, but not limited to, books, manuscripts, photographs, maps, audio recordings, and even film. And it does function as a research and reference library, which is designed to support scholarly investigation, and its focus is on access and guidance, but not circulation. So it's not a lending library, it's primarily for research, but anybody has access to it. So let's look at how to use it. So navigating the Library of Congress, you will come to this home page. You will see this, and in order to start your research, you'll want to come up to this little drop-down menu, which will come up with this list of options. You want to hit Discover. You'll come to this launch pad, and this is where you can access research tools. We'll be focusing specifically on catalogs and finding aids and the digital collections. So for the research tools, you have to have a library card, but it's free to everybody. Here's just a general overview of the tools that are available for you at the Library of Congress. You have the catalog, the digital collections, research guides, and Chronicling America, which is specifically for newspapers. But we're going to be focusing on the catalog and digital collections. So, using a research guide, these are curated like a finding aid to help you in the right direction to find primary and secondary sources for a topic. And using these, you can locate them through the catalog, but you can also find it through a URL, which I have linked later. And the Library of Congress is a bibliographic database, which has citation records. You can also access finding aids through the catalog, as you can see right here, which is similar to a research guide. So, through the catalog, in order to find a research guide, you want to go to the library resources here, drop down menu, research guides. You can also use this link. Looking at the research guide, you have three options for discovery: by subject, by research center, or by all of them. We're going to look at it by subject, and for the purpose of this example, we'll go to the history subject. It's a long drop-down list of 274, but we're going to narrow it down to World War II, which is the very general source resource guide. This is what a research guide looks like through the Library of Congress. You'll have an introduction and also some little tabs here. Library of Congress resources. This is where you can access digital collections, which we'll talk about later on. And this is where you'll find primary sources. And print sources will be your secondary sources. So it has both of those, and we'll look at both of these. So let's go back to the catalog. So with the catalog, you can access both primary and secondary. So we'll go to the advanced search here. And through the advanced search, this is what will come up. And let's do a little example here. So I put in World War II with subject specifically, and these two additional filters. So United States is the subject and letters is the keyword. Then we'll add these limiters. So I put archives, manuscripts, and images for to pull up specifically primary sources. And this is what will come up when you use the catalog. You'll see these filters right here that what we applied, and you can add additional ones if you want. So those are the ones we picked, and we're going to look at just at this first one, which is a bunch of letters. However, with the catalog, you'll find the finding aids, which is what we'll pull up. But what's important to notice is that there's volumes. For some are 1, some are 7, some are 12. You have to request access through the catalog. And this is how you will see availability, and you have to shoot them a quick email. And that's one way to access ones that aren't online. So for secondary sources, it's the same process. I did change the keyword to title, which is history, and then limiters are book, which is a secondary source. Pulls up the same thing, only the book is a format. You can change based on these filters over here, and we'll just look at the first one right here, and it pulls up the same catalog listing. Also have to request it. It's kind of a weird thing with the catalog. Um, and so we'll go back to the research guides to look for primary sources with the digital collections. So digital collections are a little bit more easy. It's a little more user-friendly. And remember, photographs, manuscripts are primary sources. So going back to the digital collections, this is what will pull up when you go to the digital collections. You'll have featured content. The way you search is up here. Um, and I just put in military maps for the purpose of this example. And these are the refiners, which is here's the some options. You can refine it by collection format. This is how I filtered it. So by topic, part of digital collections and military situation maps, which is the collection, and the format is map, and it comes up with the collection. This is what it will look like when you open up a digital collection. It looks a lot like a finding aid, and it has a lot of the similar tabs. You can file through these pictures, but what's really interesting is they have a learning queue specifically for maps on how to navigate the image files, how to download it, which is really useful. And then you go to collection items and it's organized by item, but they also have articles and essays, which you can also access up here at the top. And it has a whole collection of maps, and they have this for a lot of them, organizing it by timeline and just and general information. Let's look a little bit closer at this. So this is what a primary source catalog listing would look like through the Library of Congress. You have the image, which this one has multiple images in it. You can enlarge this and you can download the picture right here. Has the cataloging information, and also it has what other collections it's part of, which is really interesting. And you can go explore those further for research, which always comes in handy. And when you pull up the item, you can download a really nice picture like I have here. And then you have this little fancy citation tool when you go scroll down the listing, and it has generated citations, which I would always suggest double checking citations before you use them. But that's really helpful just for a starting point. So it's your turn to try it out. So we're going to do a little bit of an activity to go find your own sources. So you're going to go use the Library of Congress research guide. Go find a research guide on whatever topic you want. It doesn't have to be historical. They have other government related, cultural. You really like the pick of the litter. I would say locate one primary and one secondary source. And here's some steps. You can go to guides.loc.gov, choose a guide. Here's some examples, and use a research guide to locate one primary source via the digital collections, and one secondary source using the library catalog. You could also use the library catalog to locate both. But for a little bit extra, you could try both formats and then record the title and citation of the source, as well as a brief explanation on how you were able to identify what was a primary and what was a secondary source. And a little tip, the research guides do have little indicators on primary and secondary sources on the tabs. So it helps you out a little bit if you need a little assistance. Thanks for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed learning about the Library of Congress, and I hope you find it a useful tool. I use it all the time. It's an excellent tool, especially for primary sources. And I hope you found this useful and helpful, and happy researching. Thank you.